All right. So first thing first, when it comes to building this game idea, I am going to have to learn how to build assets, right? And one of the key assets of any game is the art itself. And due to my quick Google searches, apparently, art is the longest process of a game. Makes sense. Once you code one thing, you can also probably find snippets of code online, throw it in from Stack Overflow, get those things built out. But it's a bit harder to piece together some good looking art and also put your best face forward. Doesn't work very well when your art is not very good. But there are games where the art's not very good, but the story and the gameplay still drives it. So it's not super important, but for the game I'm trying to build, art is very important. Now, I'm coming at pixel art as a very beginner. There are some pixel art things that I have done in the past. Not very many of them, and not very good. I've made probably three things in pixel art. So, very much beginner. I do not have an art background. I am not an art expert whatsoever. I like color combinations. That's about it. So, when it's coming to pixel art for the game I'm wanting to build, I looked in some classes, and Udemy, this pixel art master course beginner to professional slash freelance, by I really wish I could say his name. I'm not going to mess that one up, but this is what I got in order to learn pixel art. I bought this, I think, a few years ago. I'm not sure when I bought this. Oh, I bought it February 27, 2023. I bought it recently, but I must have bought it multiple times because this is kind of what I was trying to follow a few years ago when I first tried uh, this out. But right now, gone through some of the basics. I will be using Sprite over here to the left as my pixel thing for my project. And I will be following this guide. Now, I'm not going to be filming myself watching his videos because this man put in a lot of work for this class. So I highly recommend going to Udemy, purchasing it. I've also seen other places that I've had subscriptions to for learning things. I kind of have a problem where I will subscribe to learning things quite frequently for whatever catches my fancy. Kind of a problem of mine. But coming back, all said and done, if you want to follow along with me, go ahead and get this. Now, this session is all going to be doing challenge number one, which is just lines. And my whole goal is to do at least an hour of all the challenges that Mislav, I hope is his name, recommends, right? So this one is kind of basic, right? It's lines, do sideways lines, yada yada. But in part of his video, he does say trust the process, which is quite a bit of what you hear of people. And as someone who mentors people in not video games, but in other aspects of things, like getting into tech, I've came to agree that you need to trust a certain process, right? There's the Karate Kid aspect of things where it's like, yeah, this might be boring now, but this boring stuff is the fundamentals of where you'll go. So, with that said, if you do want to follow along, I recommend downloading this or buying it wherever you happen to be getting this and going in and doing lines and shapes. Go ahead and do intro and lines. Obviously, finish getting started. I'm doing Asprite, but today I'll be doing challenge one when it comes to lines. Now, I'm not going to be talking about exactly everything it says. Once again, because I want you to purchase this. Not because I get any kickback, but this person put a lot of work into this, and I'm not going to interrupt his sales. Also, I'm not an expert, so anything I do is not expert stuff. So, coming in, let's go ahead and minimize this. I got my notes up, and this is generally how I like to tackle things, especially when I'm learning things for the first time. I will keep a giant catalog of my notes via Google Drives setting them up like this. So this is my pixel art nodes. Then I got lines. This makes it, if you put header 2, this makes it so this left-hand side you can just go everywhere. I don't know why I'm explaining Google Drive or Google Docs to anyone, because once again, I'm not an expert on that, and you probably have your own preferences for note taking. But yeah, so let's go ahead and let's start doing an hour of this practice starting now. So let's go ahead and do some lines like mentioned. Already got a crooked line from that. Yep, another crooked line. So this is probably where learning how this thing works, because I'm not an expert in Sprite. I chose this because I bought this a few years ago when I decided to do it, and it's pretty satisfying actually. It's pretty. Oh god, that's huge. Come in here. Let's do 1 since I'm at the 1 pixel section. Ah, there we go. I think at some point when I have, maybe finished this class, I might, do a whole recording on me trying to figure out all the shortcuts of Sprite and whatnot. So what I'm doing right now is not what was said in the class, but instead something that um, he did in his video, where he made this 90-degree angle type of contraption, and then he changed the color and made lines. So I just wanted to start off doing that, just to get a bearing. But then I'm gonna follow, his recommendations. I don't even know if these are like the same pixels, top and right. Once again, I don't even know if there's a way for me to see, like super easy, like a shortcut. And that's kind of the whole point of these videos. I'm trying to show exactly a beginner, right? I feel like there's too many YouTube channels where it's like, oh yes, I just started doing something, no matter what it is, not just games, but where it's like, oh, I just started, but like they're already really good at it. You're just like, okay, um, so is this like a montage of like you getting good and you're not really showing how you were ever bad at it? And that's kind of where I want to take this. Now, this is gonna bother me. Like, I want this to line up to this. It's gonna bother me. I'm all right. What is this? Rectangular marquee tool, left bottom, replace, add, correct section. Something tells me I can do it with this. And then, like, do I just? Aha! All right, I figured something out. Yay! All right, so that's not gonna bother me anymore. So, anyways, back to what I was talking about is too many people, um, or too many channels on YouTube. I find never actually show the mistakes of being a beginner, right? And so many people out there, especially when I'm trying to mentor people getting into tech, they really kind of beat themselves up about. They're like, well, I mean, look how great this person was when they first started, but they never. People just have a tendency not to show you what they were like when they first started, right? They're like, oh, well, I don't want to share that because it's not good. Same reason why people uh, don't start um, don't start because they're seeing these people that are quote unquote better than them, when that's not the case. And it's easier said than done, right? Like a lot of those good YouTube channels, a lot of those people that are experts um, will essentially just be like, well, I was never this good, which is great and all, but like all we're seeing is your best foot. So that's the whole point of this to me, is to kind of be like, well, here is me, essentially not very good, trying to make an environment for people that are also not good, that want to learn, and this is just kind of a safe space, you know? And over time, right? I'll just be reviewing myself, maybe quarterly, maybe every year, but being like, hey, look, if you come on this journey with me, look how I improved. Like, look, I'm doing 1 pixel at a time. I don't even know how this thing worked. I moved this, which was a win in my situation, right? This this is my first experience. And moving this thing over so this didn't bother me was a win. So think of it on those regards. So eventually, I hope to be as good as the guy from this Pixel Art Master course, who just moves and shifts things all willy nilly all the time, goes so fast, changes colors with clicks of a button. But I'm not at that level, right? And that's the whole point of this. So, anyways, when it comes to it, is I want to build a game that I have an idea for that I think is a really good idea. Um, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh man, I have this really good idea for a video game studio. Um, and first you got to build a game before you build a studio. Um, but yeah, like there's, I've always got like crazy ideas going through my head, and like quite a few of my family members, um, growing up kind of have these ideas in their head of grandeur, right? They're typically folks that are like, hey, I know how to get rich quick. Here's this crazy idea I have. And I'm scared that like I fall into those lines. Now, I don't know if this video game idea will ever get me rich, nor do I know I'll ever get there, because right now I'm just doing pixel lines, right? I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm going to try to get there. I'm going to see how long it's get there. I'm giving myself 6 years uh, to go from basically this to a game, and that's a long time. Some people are like, "Oh, well, you can do it in 5, you can do it in 3," but I also have 3 little kids. I'm married, and I'm I don't I don't have the time to dedicate full time to it. And also, um, I'm also the only income person of the family, so I can't just be like, what, I'm gonna quit my job and have my family go broke because of that. But yeah, so right now I'm playing with the angles of the lines that he mentioned, right? So we're doing 1 pixel on 1 pixel on this beautiful orange line. This is making a beautiful, like, perfect diagonal line. See, I don't even know concepts or words for curvatures, right? Very beginning here, I'm sure it has a line like probably something in math that I'm also not an expert in, which is fine because I am in tech job. And once again, that's kind of like where my expertise is probably going to come in when it comes to video games. I do work in the tech field. I work in tech sales at a company, which basically means I'm half salesman, half like programmer. So like I'm not an expert in sales and I'm not an expert programmer. So that's basically my life. So coming in here, I'm doing these angles, right? I'm doing these like kind of slower out angles, and I'm going to try 3. And basically, it's this whole thing where it's like, well, you can, if I stack any more colors here, it's going to look really bad. So I'm going to keep it like this. It's kind of like a firework. But I'm going to go ahead and delete it simply because this is practice. But before I delete it, what I'm going to do to my, oh no, what did I do? What is this? Okay, I got rid of it. I was trying to take a screenshot. Um, well, I'm used to Mac for my job, so I'm sitting here trying to figure out what the screen. Uh, okay, this is not working out for me. Trying to figure out what the screen capture is, but apparently I'm failing at this. Oh no, I'm still doing the same shortcut every time. It's like engraved in my mind. Is that it? Nope. Control Shift 4. Nope, that's not it. Okay, I give up. So I won't add this to my notes, but once again, this is probably like the most basic class, so I don't really need to add this to my notes. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Ooh, that's right, I learned earlier I can make this a lot bigger. Make it 10 pixels, yeah, just wipe it. There we go. But yeah, so coming back in here, let's go ahead and actually start the process of what that man was mentioning, whose name I feel really bad. I keep forgetting, and I'm also probably not pronouncing it Mislav. I'm just gonna call him Miz. Hopefully that doesn't offend him, and hopefully that's actually correct pronunciation. But anyways, coming back to my idea of a video game, It's still kind of being flushed out. But first thing first, I want to work on my weakest link, which is obviously the art aspect. I'll come in stronger when it comes to the programming aspect. Still not an expert. Um, uh, but basically from here, I'm not gonna do this because truthfully, probably my biggest weakness will be the music aspect of it. And my whole goal is to essentially um, make a video game all by myself and not have to like rely on anyone else doing anything, um, and record it all, like my hiccups, my mistakes, my failures, right? Simply to just make folks realize not everything is a clear transition or path. Uh, and most of this comes from the training I give to other people um, when it comes to technology. A lot of people think that they can't get into it because they weren't born with the innate knowledge of how to get things done. They're not smart enough, they were never good at math, yada yada. But guess what? When you get into technology, you don't necessarily need to be great at all that stuff. What you what people fail to understand, what I like to give when I am talking with folks, is essentially I myself only went to 1 year of high school. I have my GED, right? I have my GED, yet I have a job in tech. Now, I'm not a principal software engineer. I am not uh, some guy who can get a rocket to the moon. But I do work in tech, and I do have a very solid job, and I get paid fairly well for someone that never completed high school. So it's not necessarily any of those things um, that are holding you back, right? It's not that you're innately dumb. You can figure things out. That's what humans do. We figure things out. And just because you didn't go to school doesn't mean you can't figure things out. And that's basically what I try to explain to people is tech is a giant puzzle. And you just got to have the determination to complete that puzzle. It doesn't matter um, what you do, right? It's just you need to complete that puzzle. Now, talking back into the pixel art aspect of things, I don't know if I don't remember if this is necessarily what was supposed to be done in the challenge. So basically, it was put 2 pixels on the screen, connect them as a line, and I'm sitting here drawing it. I wonder if I'm supposed to do 1 pixel at a time, but that seems a little too like wax on, wax off type of method going on. So not 100% sure if that's what I'm supposed to do, but now I'm gonna get rid of the gross lines. Try and make it look better. Okay, that looks a bit better, but I mean, this still doesn't look good. But once again, right, this is why you do it. I'm not fantastic at it, right? But it needs to get done. I need to do this to improve. So that's what just has to go. So also stepping back, as you can see, I'm very scatterbrained. These videos will never have scripts. Well, at least these ones. I plan on making other videos, but this video in general is basically just a place for, if you decide to go with me on this journey to build your own video game from the ground up, you have someone to commiserate in all of this stuff you're doing. Put this on while you're doing your own studying of pixel art. Follow along to get the pixel art. I now okay, sorry, sitting back, going back to the pixel land. Uh, these definitely connect. I don't know if it's the most beautiful connection, especially right here. Like I already envision this as like some like dinosaur creature's back, and it just got a bite taken out of it. Um, but let's go ahead and clean this up. I feel like this could be cleaned up to make it there. Yeah, see, that looks better. That looks a million times better, right? So there's a fix. Look, I'm improving. I think I'm improving. I don't know. If there's anyone out there familiar with pixel art watching this, uh, slapping their head, you probably went through this. once in your life, right? When you're first learning it, you might have been a lot younger than me. Maybe you were like a teenager, high school student, whatever. I'm just a guy in his 30s, trying to put this stuff together. So another thing I also wanted to highlight on that I got distracted while talking about is the family thing, right? Um, I well, not my immediate family, the family like brothers, sisters, parents, whatnot. Um, there's quite a few of my extended family, I guess they'd be now because my immediate family is my children and wife. Um, but my extended family is, you know, essentially a bunch of people that want to get rich really fast. And the best, not all of them, right? A good chunk of them, like maybe three. So maybe not a good chunk, not even like a quarter percentage. But there's a few family members that have this get rich quick mentality. And my whole adult life, I've been kind of worried I'm falling in that bubble. Uh, that like, oh, do I want to make this video game to become a multi-millionaire, right? Which is very high expectations. Oh wow. I just realized I put both these pixels in a way where I'm actually going to be able to. I think I'm going to be able to cut. This is like a game in itself. I think I'm going to be able to connect them. Oh my god. It's working. It's working. Uh, little wins, right? These little. Oh, beautiful. This is so satisfying. Anyways, I'm a little worried that like I'm trying to build this just for financial gain. And once again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? People want to make money. That's how you survive in this world. Um, but part of me is like, well, is making this YouTube channel and making this game me with my own sad little try of becoming rich like quick kind of thing? Is that what I'm doing? Um, and then I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna do it anyway, because I've been sitting on this video game idea for a minute. I've already like kind of daydreamed out scenarios, and I've been thinking about it for over a year. So that was kind of the fundamental aspect of like, yeah, I'll do it. In the process, I was watching YouTube videos. This looks like a claw, or part of a video game controller. But in the process of doing that, I also was like watching YouTube videos, right? And these YouTube videos were always like, oh yes, when I started out, and they'd like show a little bit of what they were trying to do, but not the whole process, right? And I don't think this YouTube channel is gonna take off. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Like, I don't know who's just gonna sit there and watch me talk constantly about this stuff, but it could, right? And in a way, this also fixes one of my problems when it comes to the video game being successful, and that's marketing. If I just keep doing this for a long period of time, at least there will be a few people, I hope, that end up watching this. And in that case, if they do, and they follow me along through this journey, they'll be like, wow, I just watched this guy for a long time work on some stuff, and I followed along with him, and it was great. And the game sounds cool, and I want to buy it. And then you buy it. And then you tell your friends if you like it, like, hey, that video game was pretty fun. You want to play it? And then that's how it's gonna be a successful game, right? Um, but yeah. So, anyways, going back to the family, which I keep, uh, you know, going off on tangents and forgetting all about, is some of them come up with some ridiculous ideas. Now, you could say this idea is ridiculous. Hey, I'm going to be able to build a YouTube channel where I'm basically doing all the pieces of me building a video game live, unedited, for people's pure, um, like, sadness. By the way, I'm not streaming this because there might be a time where I'm entering something like the programming aspect of it, right? Where I have a ID, and I realize that while I'm doing it, right? And if I'm doing that where I have like some security code that I'm entering or something, and I'm doing it live, that opens up a can of worms. So I'm recording this all so that way I'll take notes if I do anything like that. Obviously, I'm not gonna do it in pixel art. I don't care if you guys see the weird things I'm building. Look, rah, rah. angry creature, yeah, sharp teeth. You know, you gotta have fun with this stuff, right? Even though it's a little monotonous. Rah, first creature. This is gonna be the main character of my video game. I'm joking. Um, so coming into my family, right? The ones that are like gotta hustle, gotta make money, get rich quick kind of people, would probably think my idea is stupid, right? Well, where's the money in video games, right? There's some breakout successes, Stardew Valley, Minecraft, being those indie successes that stand out on the top of my head. But in general, a lot of people don't make money from it. Also, YouTube is stupid and dying, so therefore don't make videos, right? But at the same time, these people, I'm sipping coffee. That's why I'm not doing any pixel stuff. But at the same time, these are the same folks that are, one of them. One of them came up with an idea to take Ben and Jerry's ice cream, all their different flavors, and essentially um, put them in little bite-sized cartons, like super tiny bite-sized cartons, like imagine the size of your thumb, right? Um, Bite-sized things of ice cream, and putting all the flavors in that and selling it as a pallet, um, so that way you can have like a little shot of every flavor that Ben and Jerry's makes. Um, and he thought this was like the greatest idea of all time, and he immediately started researching where he could get um, cartons that small made, and you like essentially um, how to get cartons that small made, how you can buy Ben and Jerry's ice cream at like bulk level to fill them, and all this, right? Like he spent months working on this idea, um, and I essentially was like, hey, uh, my man, my dude, my brother in Christ. Um, like, what will happen when like Ben and Jerry's finds out about this? One, and two, who are you gonna resell this to? Do you have like an ice cream van? Because a store's not gonna carry this, right? You're not the actual vendor. Like, can you imagine a store where it's like, hey, yeah, some guy off the street decided to sell us bite-sized portions of ice cream. So yeah, now we stock it, right? I'd be like, I'm never going to that store again. I don't know what that guy's doing to that ice cream. Get out of here. Uh, so, I was like, hey, there's some flaws here, and he was like, oh no, man, I would totally buy this stuff. If I was the manager of a store, it's a genius idea. Well, he couldn't find the cartons, right? So he was trying to find business partners. Think Shark Tank before Shark Tank came around. He was trying to find partners to like go in with him on this, right? And everyone kind of had the similar reactions to it, glazed face, like what? Um, so it was one of those, and then months into like him spending most of his full energy on it, he decided, you know what? You know what would be a better idea? Let's instead try to sell this concept to Ben and Jerry's, right? And then like Ben and Jerry's will like hire me, and I'll be like this great thing. And he never got a reply back from them. After a while, he got a new idea of like buying drill bits from China to then sell on like here in America for cheaper. That plan didn't work out, and basically that's just the continuing step of this gentleman. Constantly ideas and go, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I admire that determination, right? Because you're like, well, it didn't work, and maybe my idea was wild and crazy, but I'm gonna keep going. But the maybe on to the next idea. But the thing that worries me, right, if I start acting like these family members of mine, is at what point will I get to the point where I'm fooling myself and I'm not realizing, right? Well, if I'm like, oh, I got this really good idea for a video game I really wish I could play. It's nothing new, it's not groundbreaking. I'm not saying it because, like, my idea is simply because I think, uh, I need to keep it hush hush. I'm just not saying it because it's not fully fleshed out until I start building. Now, there's ideas that I have, and I've kind of thought of the way that I'm going to start working on it. Right now, I need to get better at pixel art. Now, I can use assets already made for free that I can find online, um, which I was toying with already. Um, and um, that's great and dandy, but eventually it's going to come to a point where those free assets aren't going to be good enough. Do I want to build like a good chunk of the video game and then have to reset and come back to pixel art, start building the pixel art, right? And it's one of those things where I know that part is going to be quicker for me. I think, I've never played really. Well, I have. Well, like I've dilly dallied around with a game engine, but I wouldn't say I'm good or would go to like a pff, I don't know what they're called. It's really skipping my mind. The part where a bunch of people get together and they build video games. I wouldn't go to those. Well, also I live in a small town in Florida where there is no game things like that. So I'm kind of SOL there. But look, I made another. I don't know why, but I always have to apparently give things angry eyebrows and horrible eyes. Right? this might this might be the picture I use for this video. Oh, look, give it some claws, right? No one's gonna come watch this. They'll be like, "What is going on here? What is the fever dreams of this man at almost 7 o'clock in the morning doing?" And that's making weird blobs in pixel art. Um, so basically, I plan on dedicating 1 hour a day on practicing pixel art, recording while I practice, and uploading it. Um, so that's something to know. So back to the family member and his love for building business ideas. It's not the fact that he's like, oh, I think his ideas are dumb, because that's almost how every awesome thing has ever been made. Is someone thought it was dumb, right? Someone's like, oh, that's a stupid idea, and I hope that I'm wrong when I think his idea is stupid. Like the Ben and Jerry's ice cream thing, I thought it was dumb, right? But if he was successful with it, I hope he is. I hope that I'm in the wrong, right? Which is hard for some people to admit when they're like, I want to be in the wrong. But in that case, I do. I can't control that I think it's dumb, right? No one can control their opinion on that regard unless they have something that sways their opinion in an opposite route. And that's basically when you're building something new or a business concept idea, is you need to have the ability to persuade people that's a good idea. Uh, you need to have that charisma to show people, um, like, hey, this is actually a pretty good idea, right? I don't know why I have to start with this spike. But anyways, I'm worried that my idea for a game is just like me trying to get rich quick. How can I get money? But there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, I guess. Like, yes, I do want, I would love to make a video game that lets me be financially independent from a job. And yes, I'd love to build a video game studio where I can, you know, have people make money. Which gets me to the concept of like, I daydream a lot, right? So I daydream about this video game. I'm like, oh, this would be such a fun video game. It's gonna be so great. I bet I can make good money. Maybe like 30 million, and then like I could save 15 million, and then spend 15 million to like build a studio. And in that $15 million, I'll set aside $5 million for 5 years to build a video game, and I'm going to hire people and I'm going to pay them $100,000 a year for 5 years, right? And they'll get a percentage of the sales of the video game, right? And that's like my whole concept. So, like $5 million for 5 people, me, and then 4 others. I'd probably get 2 artists one marketer, because marketing is very important for the success of a video game. Uh, People might be like, but I did all the art, but someone also has to sell your stuff and like make sure that's out there. Um, and two artists, one marketer, and probably one software engineer, right? And then I would be the composer. I'd be like, I think all of these, and I could do a little things, do music, do whatever needs to move the project forward. And I'd probably give them most of the percentage. 50% goes back to the business, so in the 50% that's left over for all of us, I'd probably take 10%, and they all take 10% of the profits of the video game. And after that $5 million is spent, if it does make a profit, so let's say I'm also, by the way, I want to be very clear with you all. I'm not a business expert, right? This is all like hypothetical, right? I'm not a business expert. I don't know anything about taxes or running a business or underlying cost. This is just me brainstorming, right? But if I ever got to this situation, I would definitely talk to someone more financially savvy about playing this out and what the actual budget would be. But basically, pay them $100,000 a year over the course of 5 years, and then they also get a percentage. So let's say we made a video game that made $60 million. $5 million would go back to the studio for the cost of the 5 years it took to run it. So that way we can recycle that, right? So another $5 million, another video game, right? So if it made $60 million, then I would have $55 million. In profit. So, you know what? I'm just gonna say 50. The game made 55 million. Once again, not good at math. So say 55 million. 5 million would go back to the studio for the cost of making the game. Then we would have 50 million in profit. 25 million would go back to the studio, so that way maybe I can hire more people to develop their game ideas and have a team, etc. Maybe the 4 people that were in it want to make their own games, and I'm like, whoa, those sound like great games. Here's $5 million to run that project. Go on, go forth. Um, and then essentially from there, um, right? So $50 million of profit, 25 goes back to the company to do that. Then 25 million goes to the people that worked on the game. So let's say there was 5 of us. That's $5 million each, right? That's straight up $5 million each, right? So that's kind of how I want to do it. And I don't necessarily want people that have experience in the game industry necessarily. I'd rather have people who um, kind of like have the passion that wants to do it. And that's, easier said than done, right? Working for someone else, you're like, well, this isn't my game idea. I don't really necessarily have the passion for it, but I'm kind of hoping that, like, someone that wants to get into the video game industry, make games on the same line as a studio, which are going to be like slice of life games. Those are my favorite games the older I get, right? Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, farm simulators. Those slice of life games like make my life so much like better. Like slow movie. It's like watching a Miyazaki movie, right? It's just pure unadulterated bliss of relaxation, which as an adult now is just, when you get it, it's fantastic. It feels great. Um, and that's just kind of where those games come from, right? And they just make it feel good, and that's why I want to make the whole studio. Actually, like if I fundamentally think of the studio I want to build, um, it would I want to basically build the Disney of video game studios. I want it to every game that comes out of it, to give that same feeling that you get when you, well, I guess this goes out to millennials, when you hear that Sony startup, right? Or if you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, getting on that one ride that you loved as a kid, right? Or a good book when you read it and you can't put it down, and then when you finally finish it and you miss those characters. Um, Or, when you played Final Fantasy VII for the first time as a kid, from a demo, from a like Domino's pizza box. I think I got a demo from a Domino's pizza box. But once again, memories of a kid. Someone could have literally handed me a pizza box and a demo thing, but I was like, pizza and demos. Wow, it came with the pizza. So that's essentially what I'm gonna build. I want every game to not come out until it's done. I don't want to crunch people. I don't want to burn them out. I want everyone working on their games to be in the best mental state possible. And if that requires 4-hour workdays, it requires 4-hour workdays. Now, if any business person, wait, hold on, I need to put angry eyebrows on this and some eyes. Yeah, this might be the picture too. Maybe I'll just make a conglomerate of a collage of all these pictures to put as the thumbnail of this. I'm probably not going to do that because guess what? I also don't know how to make videos. So I also need to learn video software, and I consider that kind of the marketing portion of this. So when it comes to this, it kind of looks like Angry Melted Texas. Um, Maybe I'll make that the title. Angry Melted Texas. I'm just gonna put that right here. Angry Melted Texas. So I thought I was gonna be making Omgri a lot more a lot more notes than I have been. But maybe I should just make the notes actually during the videos and do it. But yeah, this looks like a very angry melted Texas, or like if Ditto was trying to form into some type of mermaid. I have no idea what's going on here. But squiggly lines, right? So that's kind of my dreams, right? I'd love to make a video game studio. Wow, 50. It's like a nuclear bomb of erasing. I would love to make a video game studio where it's people with big ideas, right? Um, Making stuff and kind of making it like a place of employment where your creativeness shines. No idea is a dumb idea, right? And a lot of, heads of companies will say that, but I actually mean it. If you don't agree, like if, in the future, I'm hypothetically, of the future, if I have employees that are like, I'm like, hey, I came up with this game idea. I want these 4 people on my team. Do you guys want to be on this team? Let's do it. And they're like, well, truthfully, Alex, that is a poopy idea. Like, I'm not for it, right? And I'm like, well, why? Is it not fun? Is this like I need the feedback? I want the feedback. Like, I don't want like subordinates, that are just gonna be like, oh yeah, let's go into the game and we think it all sucks, but we're getting paid, you know. I'd rather someone tell me something sucks along the way. Maybe that's also what I'm using this YouTube channel for. Like, people are gonna be like, ugh, dude, your game idea sucks. Stop doing that. But basically, I think the whole thing I want to do with this channel is essentially um, make it uh, where I record my daily, pixel practice. At least for now. Eventually, I'm gonna have to get away from pixel practice. Uh, but I'm trying to get up at 4 a.m. to work on this stuff um, every day. I'm having hiccups here and there. My oldest kid, who is 4, uh, you know, uh, is like, "Where are you at?" Because, he's become a daddy's kid, and so he's sleeps next, like right next to me, and so he'll like pat for me, and it's like, "Oh, you're not here?" Like every 30 minutes throughout the night, like as clockwork. Like, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?" "Okay, you're here. Check." And so it's like I leave, and it's like, "Oh my God, you're not here. What's going on?" End of the world situation has ensued. So basically, at 4, I got up, watched the video. 4:30, I hear him screaming, "Oh no, what was that?" Okay, so don't hit right click while you're doing this. Uh, there's probably a way to save it, but I'm not used to Windows commands, man. I just got a Windows PC, by the way. for my personal PC because all I have is work PCs. But anyways, woke up at 4 a.m. to get to start working on this, right? And at 4:30, he comes. He just screaming bloody murder, pure bloody murder. Like, what's going on? Where is he? Because originally I wanted to try start. This thing looks weird. Uh, he started screaming his brains out, so I had to go lay next to him. But I was dressed, right? I had pants on, hoodie on. A little cold here because the AC doesn't. No, I live in Florida. Not cold, right? It's 70 degrees out right now. At 7 in the morning. But our AC is like, oh, you want the refrigerator in there? Sweet, I'll go refrigerator mode all the time, especially at night. It's just like, wah, I'm 40 degrees. So I'm like, I set you to 70. It's like, I don't care. Um, and if there happens to be an air conditioner tech out there that's like, oh my god, it's about to explode, please let me know. But um, essentially, he got mad that I was dressed, so I had to like go back into just a shirt and boxers because a while ago, I left um, while he was asleep. This looks okay. Sorry, got to do my angry eyebrows and eye, or this is not complete. This looks like a dolphin in the Wu-Tang Clan symbol like had a baby. Like I'm seeing like the dolphin face here, and then the Wu-Tang Clan symbol upside down. Or it's just a very well endowed two-legged dolphin. Um, okay, that's not it. Command Z, no, Control Z, Control Z. There we go. All right, I know how to do a backtrack now. So anyways, I had to get back in the bed, cuddle with him. He wanted to watch fire trucks, and so it was a whole hour of that. My wife wakes up with our newborn baby, and she's now out there with him, allowing me to do this. So I'm very grateful to my wife, allowing me to do stuff like this. Um, but anyways, it's hard. I tried doing it yesterday. Start this project yesterday, on May 30th. Uh, but or May 30th. I think this is a screen. Yeah. Well, of course this is a screen I'm sharing. This is where the pixel art is. I have a couple screens. But um, you know, same thing happened. He woke up. I laid with him for a long time. We watched this lady named Big Rig Becca on YouTube. I highly recommend it. Especially if little kids are obsessed with semi trucks and dogs, because it is a woman who's a semi truck driver and has two dogs. I mean, it's a win situation, right? Look it up, Big Rig Becca. If you got kids that love dogs and semi trucks, it's a win situation. Uh, but let's clean up some of the jaggies. I'm just doing designs, I realize, and not actually like cleaning up the jaggies as prescribed. Like cleaning it up, making it look good. Um, but anyways, it's hard, right? Like, I can't just uproot my life. I have kids, I have a career that I need to focus on, so my kids can eat and whatnot, which I think is also something that's missing from some of the YouTube channels I see. It's always like, younger people, college students, high school kids, or people that are like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this, right? Um, for all I know, this could be just my midlife crisis, which I'm totally fine with. Me building a video game, waking up early to work on a video game, being my midlife crisis is I feel really inappropriate working on this part. I'm going to delete this. This gotta go. I don't want this video flagged. Yeah. Uh, but here. Well, now it's just like David Bowie. Now it's just David Bowie. In the labyrinth. Uh, um. If I can figure out how to edit, I'll just put like a snippet of David Bowie in the labyrinth. There. Another reason why I'm doing the recorded and not on Twitch. Um, Also because like talking to the void of someone possibly being here is a lot easier than like having to read stuff on the screen if anyone joins like, oh hey Timothy 429, how are you doing? Oh, that's great. And then like, someone could come in and just be a troll and like say things and I'm just like, like I'm good. Like hard pass. Um so I'll make a YouTube channel where, people won't necessarily watch. And if they do, it might be good background noise to fall asleep to. Or you just, you want a study buddy while you're working on this yourself. And by the way, if you do decide to follow this trajectory like I am doing, um, yeah, leave a comment. Tell me how it's going for you. Um, if you end up making dolphins with Wu-Tang Clan symbol appendages. But yeah. So, you know, that's that's a big reason I want to make this is to like show like how much work like truly is involved because I feel that so many people are disheartened, right? It's a when I got into tech, a little bit of backstory about me. Um, you know, I wasn't too big of what would be considered a successful person, right? I was like a lovable loser. I like drinking a lot, partying a lot, kind of thing, and um, how can I describe it? And I wanted to change my life, right? I wanted to get better. Um, I wanted to do better, right? I wanted to get out of the hole of just the constant going to work, going and partying, waking up in a random backyard from having too much fun the night before, and then going to work and then repeat. And sometime in my early 20s, I was like, you know what? I gotta stop doing this. And so, um, I feel like the head looks worse than it did. I feel like I made this worse looking, cleaning it up. Maybe the boldness of the lines, kept it from looking as haggard as it actually is. Um, but, um, oh, wait, you know what I can do? Wait, hold on. I'm busy. I'm busy talking here. So what I'm trying to say is when I first wanted to get into tech, what I was, um, I was watching YouTube channels, which, is one, YouTube, um, quite strictly is probably one of the greatest things to ever happen in modern day. Um, but besides the point, um, um, basically what I'm trying to go with here is that when it comes to learning all that stuff, I just saw people that I thought were smarter than me, right? And it took a good long time for me to realize that it's not smarts that gets you ahead, it's just working hard. And you get where you want to go, right? So, just this. Just start building it. Just do it. I try to make an eyeball here. All right, I was trying to make an eyeball in the nether regions of this creature, and then I couldn't help myself but make an angry eye and a bald spot or something. I don't know what's going on with this. In all honesty, um, but it's a thing. It's definitely a thing that exists. But this is the whole point, to make a channel where you watch me essentially fail my way forward, which is a great way of just looking at life. No one is just innately amazing at something unless they're some kind of savant. And, those people do exist. But most people that are great at something have to put in a lot of hard work, pixel by pixel, even. So that's all this is. What is this creature that I made? Um, it needs to go away. So building out uh, this YouTube channel, I'm hoping it'll get that way. And I'm also going to share my process of organizing and planning the building of the game, what tools I'm using, stuff along those lines. Sharing almost every aspect of the game itself. Now, I'm not going to share too much because I kind of want to be like, well, we need the character to move. So now we need to make the character move. Well, now we need to gather things. So now we need to build an inventory. And building those, I'm going to like essentially. I realize I'm like designing something by just putting dots in, which I feel like is not part. That's not it. Get out of here. Um, you're back. Get out of here. No one wanted you back. Um, I forgot what I was talking about. I think the lack of sleep is starting to hit me. Like I'm hitting a wall. Um, but sharing all my knowledge that I gain along the way. Because right now my knowledge is basically nil. I do have experience programming, but not. I probably would consider myself more of an entry software engineer when it comes to like comparing my skills to like you know something else. All right, well now this looks like Woody the Woodpecker. This is Woody Woodpecker's hair. This is his mouth. This is his eyes. Or a tooth with a ponytail. I'm seeing multiple things here, but I need to stop getting distracted. Um, Now, I'm really good at planning projects. Well, I wouldn't say I'm like the best, but I mean, I think it's a highlight of mine. Um, is planning out projects. So I'm gonna go through like how I'm planning out this thing, because the game does have a soul, right? The fundamentals that I'm trying to get here, other than like learning this, is everything that I build for the game. One, it has to be fun, right? It's a game. First and foremost, it needs to be a fun game. So if what I add isn't fun or functional, right? Because the character has to move. It's not gonna be a platform. It's gonna be a sim game, right? Um, like Stardew Valley or some other sim games, along those lines, right? Like there's gonna be romance capabilities. There's probably not gonna be a farming capability, um, just because I play so many farm simulators, uh, Life of Portia. I mean, Harvest Moon 64. Oh my God, when that game came out, me and my sister used to fight over who was gonna play it. Uh, just loading that in, be like, my turn, no, my turn, kind of thing. Harvest Moon 64, man, that game just, it hit so hard. God, that game was so good. Um, you know, and look at what that genre produced, right? Animal Crossing, another like sim game, like easy, casual, fun, um, sim game. So if you're like a hardcore gamer, like I'm gonna build a hardcore game, uh, you know, um, I'm probably not the person for you, man. I want to whimsical my way into game building. Oh no, okay, well that pixel was critical and I didn't realize it. Um, but essentially from there, if one, it's not fun, uh, then it shouldn't, or be functional in some regard, then it needs to be go because walking in a video game isn't necessarily fun. And it has to be whimsical. It has to be magical, right? And by that I mean I want to invoke emotion with this game, right? The music. I want the music to invoke emotion, right? And I'm not a musician. I don't know anything about music. I was in a punk band in high school, and I didn't play an instrument. So By punk band, I mean that very loosely. There are actual amazing artists that can do punk rock music, but like I just scream into a microphone about like life sucking as like a teenager. Okay? So I don't have any musical experience. I would not consider that musical experience. Um, and the band like broke up after like 6 months because I sucked. And I think they formed another band without me because I sucked. So like that's just life lessons there. But um, everything, right? I want people to feel like they're home playing the game. Like, oh, here's another little life that I have. I want to feel like you're getting hugged by maybe a family member that has passed away, right? When you play a good family member that possibly passed away. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know how to describe that feeling, but that's the feeling I want to invoke. I want to make people feel connected to it. I want to move emotionally because in my opinion, right? And I'm sure this is a lot of opinions and nothing original in this concept or idea, but I want people um, to feel the magic of whenever they play it, and that's why I want to be like the Disney of video games, the studio I'm building, because when it does come to games, and I keep circling around. What I'm trying to say here, let's clear up my head from the fogginess of early morning wake up. Um, Video games are a great way of telling a story, and it's been that way since I was a kid, right? So it's nothing new. Video games are a great storyteller. I remember the first time I played Final Fantasy VII. It moved me. Final Fantasy X when I was in high school made me cry. Like Final Fantasy IX. Oh my god, that made me bawl. That game. Oof. Like they are a great storytelling mechanism. Games do tell a great story. A lot of indie artists. Spiritfarer. If you want a good cry, man, play that game. Um, but essentially, um, just like in animation, like think of it like this: Disney, right? I want to build like the video game version of Disney, right? Um, studio wise. And if someone's like, think of it like this, right? If someone's like, oh, cartoons, somebody who made cartoons makes this magical, whimsical, like feeling of just amazement, you'd be like, what? Some guy making a doodle? You're weird. But that's exactly what I think needs to come out of video games. I want that. I want that so bad. I want this magical, whimsical studio that every time you see the logo, you're like, oh, I am in for something, right? And even if I do end up building it, it could be that way for a long time and then lose its way, right? Square Enix used to be that way. Every time I saw the Square Enix logo, like, right, Final Fantasy, whatever, I knew I was in for a treat. All the way from Final Fantasy VII, because that was the first one I played. I did play Final Fantasy VI later on when I was an adult. Great game, but it's not gonna hit the same strings as when you're a kid, obviously. Um, but, 7, 8, 9, and 10, those ones specifically, ooh, so good. I stopped playing them after 10, because 10 2 like got a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, this game doesn't feel like a game. It feels like a digital add-on, and I just kind of stopped playing Final Fantasy from there. And like, there's a moment where I think like, I was like, I'm too cool for Final Fantasy because like, the characters are like, haha, yay, and like ear punch. I'm like, ugh, I'm embarrassed playing this. I think that's when like my like punk rock days started for me, and I was like, ugh, I'm too cool for these kind of things. Um, but yeah, Square Enix, whenever you see that, or Chucklefish, right, a current studio, their games, when you play them, like, oh, this is gonna be a fun little ditty of a video game, and it makes you feel warm, cuddly inside. right? Alright, well, I think this is probably going to be my last doodle. Um, I'm fading pretty fast, so I'm probably going to go take a shower before I have to work. I do work from home, so that makes my life easier. Um, let's give this thing some teeth, though. Apparently, I need to give everything god-awful teeth and an eye, or it's not complete. Boop, boop, boop. You know, I'm not done here. I can't go leave yet, because this isn't done. I just kind of doodled and talked and not really practiced, huh? Sorry, Alex, you're not done yet. But, you know, I just want to make that magic. I need to stop saying you know and us. It's a weakness of mine. I give a lot of presentations, and I know I say it too much then, but I think it makes it worse now, because usually I'd be like, hey, do you have any questions? But I'm in what's like brain fog, and I'm like, am I just repeating myself over and over and over again? Which the answer is yes. Yes, I am. But yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna end it here. You know, I think this is done. All the jaggies are good, and I think this was pretty good practice for doing lines. Oh, nope. Let me make that a little bit better. Boom. Ah, nice and smooth. There we go. There we go. Well, this is hard because this is the tooth part. If I remove that, well, I mean, the tooth shouldn't actually exist. Um, you know what? I'm going to delete this too. Gotta get going. Gotta get rid of it. There we go. Yay! Keep the eye though. Yes, it's just there. Uh, but yeah. Thank you for joining me. If you stayed for this whole time, you're awesome, I guess. Yeah. Wrap it up. If you're working on your I found another one. It's gonna bother me. There we go. Is there another one? It's like hunting for little treasures. Um, but yeah, thanks for joining me. I'm gonna basically make one of these every day, and probably not gonna upload it. Like what's today, May 31st? I'm probably gonna give it a month, right? So I'm a month behind, just in case I need to do something for work where I'm gone for a week, and maybe I can backlog stuff. But then once again, I wouldn't be doing an hour a day, would I? In life, you do miss a day, so maybe I will upload today, or tomorrow. Maybe give myself a week because I feel like I do need to edit it a little bit, especially the beginning, the end, uh, and you know, polishing up, give it like a cool little picture, um, a thumbnail. I think is what's called, right? A thumbnail, with explosions and stuff, so that way, people think this is gonna be cool. But yeah, that's it for the day. Have a good one.